for this school. I also want to thank Ed Riskin and his staff. They have done a lot of work in the last few months, and we are very appreciative of the fact that when this process began, they recognized that they needed to engage the community, involve the community. So I personally want to thank you, Ed, and your staff for the efforts that you have made to do that, to listen to what people have to say, to collect information so that we get to a result that makes sense. And I know a lot of time has been spent, and more will be spent, so I want to thank you for doing that. You know, I just want to remind people that we have come some ways. Before I got elected to the board, and when I first got elected to the board, it took me a while to get the Director of Transportation for the city to come to a community meeting. And you know, I think, I don't know how many meetings you've been here already, so there is some progress. But let me make a couple of points. First, let me say that what Ed said at the end of his remarks is really important. We had a meeting in my office to go over where this is right now, this draft. And one of the things that Ed made very clear is that this is a draft and that there is still work that needs to be done, and that there is a commitment to make sure that that work is completed before we move forward either with the entire plan or pieces of it. The second point that I want to say is that I think it's really important for us to hear the presentation, to listen to what they have to say, to understand the rationale for what they're saying, and to do so even though there may be things in the proposal right now that we may not agree with. I think it's important to understand the rationale. The third point, and I want to be very honest about this, you know, there was something in the paper today where I did express, first of all, a recognition of some of the positive things that I see in this plan. I do think that there are many pieces of this plan that reflect the feedback, that reflect the concerns of the community. How residential parking is dealt with, I think, is a reflection of that, and I want to acknowledge that very positive outcome and where we are in terms of that. I do think that there are pieces that need to be worked on, and one of the areas that I have a particular concern about is how PDR businesses, production, distribution, repair businesses, how we are dealing with the specific needs of those businesses. We as a city have made an investment in not only keeping, but actually bringing into the neighborhood more PDR businesses. So we need to make sure that whatever happens here is consistent with that policy, and I know that there is a commitment on the part of the MTA to work on that piece. So with that, I look forward to hearing what the MTA has to say. I look forward to what people have to say here. And again, this is the beginning, continuation of a process. It's not the end of a process. So thank you again for being here.
I do want to thank you for facilitating the meeting tonight. I guess it's more of a comment and in many respects a question. I mean, I think that this is a very complicated issue. There are many views, and I really appreciate everyone who spoke. I don't know what the right answer is, but one thing that I do have a real concern about, and I would ask the MTA to think about this. I look at this timeline and this idea that we're going to have to finalize the plan by early May. I really think that we really need to make sure that we do this right and that we take whatever time is needed. And I'm still not clear that the park coming, you know, being open in the summer creates the level of a problem that requires this kind of fast track action. So I know that it's not our final decision, but I would simply ask that you reconsider this timeline, because you know you have here something that is very, very important. You have a community that is engaged. You actually have a community that put together even a proposal. I think it would be helpful to have more dialogue, not only about what you're proposing, but also specific dialogue about what has been put forward. And one thing that I know for sure is that this process has been better the more time we take. And I think that considering taking additional time and not being bound by this idea of having something by the end of May is really important.